Hello guys, Nathan A here, Nader Animator, Angry Birds team, whatever you want to call me. I'm going to be posting this on both channels, and I am here today to talk about the Angry Birds movie 2. Now, I had the pleasure of seeing this movie yesterday with my family and stuff, and it was really freaking awesome. This review is going to obviously contain spoilers later on in the video, but for this first part, I'm just going to give you my general thoughts about the movie and, what I thought about it from a general audience perspective, and then once I get into more of the nitty-gritty and things that I would change about the film, I'm going to put a spoiler warning on the screen and stuff for those of you who don't want to have the film spoiled for you and have already seen it. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video to talk about the Angry Birds movie because I have been a long-time fan of Angry Birds since 2009, so since the franchise actually started, and since I have been a long-time fan, I thought that it might be a good idea to get some long-time fan perspectives on this movie, because I feel like most of the reviews right now on YouTube and IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes and stuff are from people who just saw the movie but weren't entirely invested in the Angry Birds lore and storyline as much as longtime fans like I was. And so I'm gonna be giving you my perspective on that and just my overall thoughts of the movie. So what did I think of the movie coming from a general audience perspective? It was amazing, guys. It is definitely, if you saw the first movie, this is a huge, not just a step up, but a huge just jump, hop, and fly up. It was absolutely amazing. The jokes, they were all hilarious. The animation looks almost flawless and incredibly detailed, and also the character work is amazing. The plot is, it's just a really fun, family-friendly time that I think the majority of all audience will enjoy. And so my review of this film is 9 out of 10 because it's just a really fun time for families and friends and children, all of all ages to see. So if you haven't seen it, go see it because it's really fun. And if you're not as invested in the Angry Birds franchise like I am, then yeah, it'll still be a very fun movie to see. And right now it is probably the best video game adaptation of a movie at all. It is just pretty incredible, for a movie about Angry Birds. It's a pretty freaking incredible movie. Now I'm going to go into spoiler territory as I now list off a couple of nitpicks I had about the film coming from a long-time fanboy's perspective of the franchise. And so yeah, this next part of the video is going to contain spoilers, but if you just came here for the general audience review, that's already over, so you can click off this video. But if you came for my unique perspective on this, first of all, thank you so much for sticking around. I'll make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on more of my content and my perspectives on stuff like this. But yeah, here we go into my thoughts of the Angry Birds movie coming from a coming from a fanboy's perspective. So there were a couple of things that I was really worried about going into this film, just based off of seeing the trailers and promotional material and stuff like that. One of those things was the hatchlings. Because if you've been following the Angry Birds franchise recently, you would know that recently they have been just cramming hatchlings into pretty much everything in their franchise now. I mean, there was Angry Birds Pop, there was Angry Birds Dream Blast, all of these different Angry Birds things with the hatchlings where the birds weren't even angry. And it's just and they're doing it just because all the hatchlings are so cute and they're all so pretty, and I'm hatchlings, everybody loves hatchlings, and it just got annoying for the majority of us Angry Birds fans to just see hatchlings literally everywhere when we searched Angry Birds, and it got to the point where hatchlings seemed like they would be the minions of the Angry Birds franchise, and so they were really getting annoying. However, I'm super proud and glad how they handled the hatchlings in this movie, because they gave them a little subplot with rescuing their little brother and sister eggs and stuff like that. But I really liked how they didn't give him too much screen time, and they also didn't give him like no screen time at all. They had him in there just the right amount so that, you know, audiences like kids and stuff who enjoyed their cute little faces would like get enough screen you know, screen time with them and stuff. However, you know, a long-time Angry Birds fans like me wouldn't get mad because they didn't take up the majority of the movie. So I feel like the hatchlings in this movie were balanced like perfectly. They didn't like go all full minions with them. They gave them like a decent side plot, and I think it added to the movie a lot and made it a lot more enjoyable. And then another thing, of course, with the hatchlings and, you know, the whole cutesy wootsy thing was, you know, Zeta's pet dog and the seal who like steals the fish. I felt like from that trailer that they would be a lot more involved in like the story and, you know, kind of just be characters that popped up, you know, a lot more in the movie. But like literally the dog and the seal only have like three entire like moments within the movie, and honestly I think that's quite enough for like them, because in a world where we have like sentient walking pigs and birds and stuff, it gets kind of confusing when you throw other animals into the mix. And so I feel like even though from viewing the original trailer, I felt like, you know, those characters weren't as necessary to the plot or the story at all, I think they also used those guys very efficiently and had them in there, you know, just enough to make it, you know, a fun, family-friendly time. And so that was awesome. But now I'm going to be diving into some nitpicks. So one of the first few problems I have with this movie was within the first like couple of minutes actually, and that was of course involving the soundtrack. And now I really like, because there are some things that I like about the soundtrack and other things that like are kind of not as great about the soundtrack, because like when the film was like opening and stuff and it had the like Rovio logo appear like above the lake, it had a intro that sounded so similar to the first movie that I actually felt like they like put on the wrong movie. Like it almost felt like the first movie was playing because the soundtrack was so similar to the first one, which isn't a bad thing, because I like how in some scenes, like when the Mighty Eagle like flew down to save the day, and or, you know, where other birds were like doing their own thing, I like how they used like familiar themes to like symbolize, you know, the different characters interacting in like the scenes and stuff like that. But I feel like also at the same time they kind of made the soundtrack too similar to the first movie, and, you know, I kind of wish they spiced it up a little bit, you know, threw some new songs into there. I don't know, but it was still an enjoyable part of the movie. It felt really weird within the first few minutes when it like seemed almost when the opening was almost exactly like the first one. That was interesting. And I already talked about how the animation was near flawless, and it was like the detail on like the feathers and the rocks and the ice was absolutely incredible, especially coming from a studio like Sony and stuff, who generally doesn't have that much experience with, you know, high quality animation except for Spider-Verse and stuff. The detail on that animation was absolutely awesome. Just one thing that I wish they focused more on was scale, because I got confused a lot in that movie, because Zeta, when she was first introduced, like it seemed like Zeta was like the size of a regular bird on Bird Island. You know, her scale was like really confusing, and especially when she was standing next to the other eagles, the eagles seemed like they were smaller. And like also when Mighty Eagle was in the cave in the secret meeting, he just like seemed smaller than he usually was. Like the Mighty Eagle, he's supposed to be the Mighty Eagle, like he's supposed to be this like big, ginormous, like godlike, you know, bird that's like supposed to be gigantic compared to all of the other birds on Bird Island. But like when he was in the like team meeting and like right next to like all the other birds and right next to like Zeta and like all the other ones, that he seemed like a lot smaller than what I remember. And same with Bomb too. Bomb seemed like a lot bigger than like he should have been. Like if you look at like the size of Bomb in the Toons version of Angry Birds and then look at him in the Angry Birds movie, he's quite a bit larger than what his, I think, canon height is supposed to be. And the eagles, like, there are like a couple of scenes in the Angry Birds movie where like it's really confusing to tell, like, you know, what's really supposed to be really large and what's supposed to be really small. And one scene that like really does set the scale really well is the end when like Mighty Eagle saves Zeta's daughter, and like they have that sort of family bonding moment, and the birds are standing right there. Like, you can clearly see that the birds are small and that Zeta is like this giant eagle type creature, you know, standing next to the Mighty Eagle too. But it's also just like very, very confusing in other scenes, because like in other scenes they just like, it just seems like Mighty Eagle is like a regular bird, and he's not a regular bird. He's a ginormous like eagle, and he's supposed to be giants. But like, I don't know, I really wish they like, I don't know, established some more like shots that made them seem like giants compared to like the other birds. Like, I think that would have added to the film, because I don't know, I think that's my only like nitpick with the, you know, I guess the animation. Now I'm gonna be going into some story details, because although, like I said, this film was really awesome, had some amazing animation, the jokes were spot on, you know, the characters were awesome, there was a couple of things I had a problem with when it came to the story and the characters and stuff like that, because this story, even though it was very, very fun and added to the Angry Birds universe, goes against canon like so freaking much. And so let's start with Silver. So now, if you're a longtime Angry Birds fan like me, you would know that the design for Silver in the Angry Birds movie 2 looks absolutely nothing like the in-game version of Silver that like looks like this. They don't look anything alike, and I think that was kind of intentional, because like Silver's characteristics are also not at all what like we know Silver in the like game to be, because like Silver in the game Toonverse is like this goofy, off the wall, kind of like silly, you know, energetic character who would never be like a serious brainiac and like, you know, into science and engineering and stuff like that. I mean, that seems more like a Hal or Dahlia like trait from, you know, Dahlia from Angry Birds Stella. And I feel like if they like maybe swapped out Silver in this movie for like Dahlia or even Ruby, they'd be doing a lot of fan service to like the hardcore Angry Birds fans like me, because I don't know, I feel like Red and Silver falling in love just like also breaks a lot of canon, because I don't know, if you were a longtime Angry Birds fan like me, you would know that like Hal and Silver have been like the #1 ship ever since Angry Birds 2, ever since the Angry Birds 2 game came out and stuff. And even though it's not a canon ship, like it just makes a lot of sense for Silver not to be with Red, because like her personality does not like mix with Red, or is not the opposite of Red like at all in the game world. In the movie world, they work perfectly. Like they're completely the opposite, and like they work really, really great together in the movie world. But in the game world, which is the most canon to Angry Birds, they don't clash at all. And so I kind of wish that even though Silver, you know, should have been introduced, because like, you know, it was Angry Birds 2 and Angry Birds movie 2, and you know, Silver has to be introduced in the sequel, I feel like she should have been like either Ruby, because that's Red's girlfriend that was introduced in the Angry Birds Valentine's Day, or Dahlia, because Dahlia from Angry Birds Stella, we've seen, is big into science and engineering and all of that, you know, stuff that the movie Silver was into. And so I kind of feel like if she was there, that would have worked a lot better from my point of view, at least. Speaking of Silver and Hal, I feel like also like to give more fan service, maybe they should have like had Silver be like, they maybe should have had Silver still be in the Angry Birds movie 2, but I feel like she should have been like just somewhere tossed in the background with like Hal getting all like lovey-dovey, lovebird type thing. Maybe if they were at like the speed dating, maybe we could have seen Hal and Silver walking out of there like happily or something. I don't know. I just feel like Hal and Silver in the background would have like worked a lot better than Silver being in that new design and like dating Red. That just it really confuses my over analytical Angry Birds mind. It's really weird. Speaking of Hal, where the heck did anybody else notice that like Bubbles was nowhere to be seen in the movie? Like Bubbles, the orange bird that puffs up and stuff, like where is he? Like I know like Smosh like split up, and so getting Ian Hecox to come in and like revoice the character would probably be like very difficult to like do for the sequel and stuff, but like you could have still like animated him in there somewhere. Like Bubbles is Hal's best friend. Like what? Where is he? Like oh my gosh, that's like it's like this is another thing that like really confused me. It's like where's my boy Bubbles? I want Bubbles. And now circling back to the hatchlings. I know this is kind of a scattered brain review, guys, and I'm sorry about that, but I just have a lot of things I need to like talk about and get off my chest. But anyways, circling back to the hatchlings, I liked their little side plot with getting the eggs and stuff and having them be their baby sisters. But one thing that really confused me was that if the hatchlings are what they say they are, hatchlings, aka they just hatched out of their eggs and they are baby birds, how then is it possible for them to have baby sisters and brothers that are more babies than the baby birds? That's like what? I don't know. That just really confused me. I mean, obviously, it's so they can advertise the film with all these cute little birds and have their big cute eyes and stuff like that and their little floofs and stuff. But I don't know. But like from a logical like perspective, it's really weird that like the eggs hatched and I don't know. I kind of wish that like the hatchlings that were going on to like get the eggs and stuff, maybe that they were a little bit bigger or more developed. If they were getting baby hatchling type, brothers and sisters or whatever. Because I don't know. It just felt really weird to have like younger versions of the youngest version of the Angry Birds species. It's just, I don't know. It was really weird to me. And now I'm going to be complaining a bit about the pigs. So yeah, the pigs. I said this movie breaks canon before, and that happens a lot with the birds, but that doesn't happen nearly enough times as it does with the pigs. If you're a hardcore Angry Birds fanboy like me, you would know that Leonard is King Mudbeard, and King Mudbeard is the father to King Smoothcheeks, which, if you don't know, is the original king pig that was in Angry Birds 1 throughout like all of the entire Angry Birds franchise. The original king pig is the son of King Mudbeard that was in all of the Angry Birds movies and stuff. And so for the rest of the video, I'm going to be referring to King Pig as King Smoothcheeks and Leonard as King Mudbeard, just so I don't get them like confused and stuff like that. But yeah, according to like the wiki and all of that, King Mudbeard is the father to King Smoothcheeks. And the reason why this is so important is because in Angry Birds 2, when Silver first shows up and when she's like hatched into like the pig castle and stuff like that, like the current king when Silver is hatched is King Smoothcheeks, not King Mudbeard like in the Angry Birds movie. King Smoothcheeks is the king. And so I feel like if they really wanted to like treat the fandom with like respect and stuff, I really feel like they should have had King Smoothcheeks be the king in this movie, and maybe even the first movie as well and stuff, because it just breaks canon that they're not like the same, and they could have given like King Smoothcheeks the same personality as King Mudbeard, and heck, it would probably even be fine if like Bill Hader like voiced King Smoothcheeks and King Mudbeard. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't even care, like just as long as it was the right character in the right place at the right time. Because like the entire movie I was wondering, like this is like the entire movie I was thinking like this is going so against canon, because like the adventure probably with the birds and the pigs, reuniting and getting Zeta to go back with Mighty Eagle and like all of that stuff, it probably could have existed in the Angry Birds universe and the Angry Birds canon. But the thing is though that they could have existed with King Smooth Cheeks as the king, because he's supposed to be the current king of the pigs, and it's so confusing. And another thing that like really confused me was that like the sidekick Courtney in that movie, she was a great asset with like her headphones and like all that stuff. She was like really cute, but one thing that confused me was that like, okay, she's there, but where the heck did Ross go? Like, you remember Angry Birds 1, the freckle pig Ross, who was like pressing the buttons and stuff, and the sidekick to like King Mudbeard? Like, where did he go? Like, I feel like they could have kept Courtney in this movie if only they switched out King Mudbeard with King Smooth Cheeks. Like, I think that would have made things make a lot more sense, not only for an Angry Birds fanboy's perspective, but like also for like any other like general audience member who actually paid attention to the characters and stuff, because like King, like where did Ross go? I want my boy Ross. Where is Ross? And now going on to like a different character, Gary. Like, I really loved Gary. Like, his whole like gadget place and like his whole lab was awesome, and I can see how they kind of took some characteristics from the Angry Birds tunes and games Professor Pig and put them into Gary. I like how they did that. I just kind of feel like they should have put more of Professor Pig into Gary, and like I know that's really a hard thing to do because Gary's supposed to be like this young engineering type dude, but like if the team really needed an engineer, why not just get like Gary to be their main guy, and or maybe just have him be Professor Pig, and then like I don't know, have another side plot where it's revealed later that like he actually hatched an egg in his lab, and that egg was like the egg for Silver and stuff. It would work so much with the pre-existing content that we have for the Angry Birds universe and stuff, because that's how that happened. That's how Silver came into the Angry Birds universe. It was an egg that was hatched like in Professor Pig's lab, or by Professor Pig, and like raised by Professor Pig, and then released back out in the Angry Birds world. And so like another thing that I have with like the pigs and stuff is that like I feel like they hinted at this a little bit in the movie when like the hatchlings washed up on Piggy Island, and then they partner with the little small piglets and stuff like that, and they were like, oh, this isn't Piggy Island, or this isn't Bird Island, Piggy Island, ha ha ha. I feel like, I feel like the birds should have moved like over to Piggy Island like right after the first asteroid like hit their island, because like I think it was really tragic when the whole Mighty Eagle Mountain got destroyed, and like the birds were all like screaming in chaos and stuff like that. But I feel like they should have like just evacuated at that moment to go to Piggy Island, and like use the truce that was already existing there to like kind of go and establish themselves somewhere like near Bamboo Forest, or where we find them later in Angry Birds tunes and stuff, because that would explain why in the Angry Birds tunes and game universes all the birds are living on Piggy Island and not on their pre-existing Bird Island, because Bird Island would be destroyed and stuff. And so I think that would make a lot more sense, just so it would like connect everything and stuff. And then with that, I feel like if they really were going to have this movie and have the other movies set up the origins of Angry Birds and like stuff like that, I feel like they should have had the pigs and birds like break their truce at the end, because I know they were trying to spread the message of like, oh, teamwork, and you gotta work together and friendship and la da da dance all together, but like this is Angry Birds we're talking about, okay? Birds and pigs do not get along, period. And so I feel like, I don't know, at the end they should have like had some maybe just a prank war going on or something, so the birds and pigs could still live on Piggy Island in peace and stuff, but would have, the whole like egg feud going on, which would lead perfectly actually into the Angry Birds tunes and stuff, because and not only would the birds and pigs fighting each other lead perfectly into Angry Birds tunes, but like also the plot with Mighty Eagle, that would also explain why the Mighty Eagle in Angry Birds tunes and Angry Birds and the Angry Birds game is so drastically different personality-wise from the Mighty Eagle and that we see in the movies and stuff, because the Mighty Eagle and like the tunes and the comics and all that is this big, wise, like professor thing that, you know, that's, you know, there in like a huge role model for the blues and like all of the other birds that are there on Piggy Island. But like in the movie, he's just this big, cocky, arrogant, you know, like jerk and stuff. But I feel like if this movie was, you know, to set up the, you know, plot of the birds and pigs living on Piggy Island, then I feel like, you know, the story with Zeta and like the Mighty Eagle falling in love would like kind of not warp, it would change Mighty Eagle's personality to be less full of himself and more, you know, offering to help other people and stuff. Because like because Mighty Eagle, he's seen like, you know, helping people a lot in this movie, but like I feel like if Zeta like was, but I feel like, you know, if Zeta was there helping him along, you know, to become this wise old, you know, man that he is in like the tunes and stuff, it would have set it up like so perfectly and stuff. So I don't know, there's just a couple of like plot holes that like there's just a couple of things about this movie that like I just really need to talk about you guys like about and just, you know, get off my chest. And so I don't know how long this video is going to be because I still have like a lot of editing and stuff to do on it, but all in all, guys, like I said, this movie was pretty dang amazing. It was a great family fun experience, but it broke canon like so many times. And so I feel like if they just added these minor little changes, like, you know, switch Silver with Dahlia, made the birds, you know, move back onto Piggy Island, and had King Mudbeard switched out for King Smooth Cheeks, I feel like it would have made this movie just that little tiny bit better. But like I said, from a general audience perspective who doesn't really know that much about, you know, the characters and the Angry Birds movie and the whole Angry Birds universe and stuff, I feel like this movie was very well made, like, and was a really awesome movie. And yeah, like I said, probably one of the best video game movies to ever exist. So if you guys agree with me, then be sure to give the video a big fat thumbs up down below and comment what you thought about the Angry Birds movie too. But yeah, that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Thank you for sitting and listening to me rant / talk about the Angry Birds movie for this long. And so but yeah, that is pretty much it for this video. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video, whatever that will be. I don't really know, whatever channel it'll be on. But yeah, that is it, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye.